Hi, so today I'm going to be talking about the ancient traditional way of viewing beauty. Hi, my name is Luis Escobar. I'm a storyboard artist on the Simpsons television show. I've been working on the show for over 25 years now, and I'm here to empower you. So, beauty is a very interesting topic because as artists, our job is to create beauty, and I never really understood what that meant. Part of the reason why I never understood what that meant was because in our modern way of viewing the world, in our postmodern philosophical worldview, beauty is completely subjective. What we say is beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? Like, and so we've heard this a lot, uh, and we believe it to be true that beauty only exists in the viewer. That what you find beautiful, I don't find beautiful, and that's supposed to be okay. In a lot of ways, that kind of echoes the notion that truth doesn't exist. Truth is relative, and that morality is relative, and all the relativization of everything in our postmodern world. The ancient world, the traditional ancient world, from the Greeks all the way down through the Middle Ages, and even in the East, didn't quite see it that way, right? For example, Catholicism still holds the traditional ancient view of beauty, which is to say that beauty is objective in the same way that truth is objective, in the exact same way that goodness is objective, morality is objective. Okay, so I'm not gonna try to explain the objectivity of truth and morality and all this other stuff. Right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to explain what is meant by beauty being objective in the traditional ancient way of viewing it. One of the things that, again, I had a lot of trouble for years trying to understand this because being a Roman Catholic, I didn't. Nobody was able to really explain it to me, or rather, maybe I wasn't listening. Right? I was trying to listen. I listened to Bishop Barron talk about beauty, and it was great, but he still didn't quite define it in a way that made any sense to me. So I have this book by Pauline Book Media. It's a letter to artists by John Paul II. I've had it for, I don't know, 20 years. I've read it. I read it twice and didn't get it. It didn't resonate with me. It didn't. I had no idea what he was talking about. It went over my head. I was looking for something in this letter, that I wanted, rather than what he was saying, right? So it was going over my head over and over and over. And it wasn't until recently that I decided that, because I was so curious about this topic, I read it again, and it was in here. Like, the answer was in here, and it was really done really it's said very, very clearly. So I'm going to define beauty in the traditional way of beauty, so that you could understand what is meant by beauty being objective. Now, this is of course important because we're artists, and the entire point of being an artist is to try to create beauty. So here we go. This is a quote from this book, from this letter. By the way, if you want to know what this letter says, all you have to do is Google John Paul the second's letter to artist. You Google it and you'll find it. It's out in public. You don't have to buy this little book, but I will put a link to this letter if you want to take a look at it yourself. But anyway, here's what he had to say. In a certain sense, beauty is the visible form of the good, just as the good is the metaphysical condition of beauty. This was well understood by the Greeks, who by fusing the two concepts coined a term which embraced both, kalokagathia, or beauty goodness. On this point, Plato writes, "The power of the good has taken refuge in the nature of the beautiful." Okay. So what does that mean? Like, if you don't understand what he means, I mean, it's very, very clear. But I'll rephrase it so that in case you didn't understand, I'll use my own words to say that beauty is the physical manifestation of goodness. Okay, so goodness, whatever is good, beauty is the physical manifestation of the good. That means that a thing that is good in itself is beautiful. So, let's say a dog that physically manifests itself in its pure nature of dogness is a good. And therefore, that dog is beautiful by the very fact that it embodies dogness. Tree, like you look at a tree, and the tree, when it is pure treeness and it physically manifests itself, its treeness is beautiful because it's completely tree. It completes its treeness. So that is a good. Tree is good. A corrupt tree, a dying or tree, like a diseased tree is not beautiful. It's ugly because it's now no longer manifesting its pure treeness, right? So Mother Teresa, for example, is beautiful. Why? Because she physically manifests the way that humanity ought to act with everyone else. Like she physically manifests through her actions and through her life how we ought to be to each other in our full humanity, right? That's what it means to be a beautiful person. So a beautiful human being. So if you're able, so she's beautiful because of that. So we often think that beauty is in some way linked to aesthetics, but beauty is linked to the truth, the good, and it's a physical manifestation of the truth and the good. And when you are able to and therefore objectively beautiful. Do you see? So it's really different than the modern way of seeing something as, oh, it just makes it's just aesthetically pleasing. So when you manage, when art, so as artists, when we manage to understand the good, to really, like, as in a philosophical way, understand what the end goal of a thing. The fancy word for end goal is telos. What the telos of the thing is, what its purpose is, and then we're able to somehow look at that thing and capture its perfection, like what it ought to always, what was intended to be, like if you were gonna paint a cow, you wanted to paint the purity of cowness. And if you're able to somehow capture cowness in its pure, absolute perfection, and it's idealized, you've captured that beauty. So when you go into a cathedral and you see the beautiful stained glasses and all this other stuff, and the sculptures and the way that the columns go up, and then you're in awe because of the colors and the beauty, because it's all good. It's capturing some essence, some form of a greater. It's leading you up to its idealized form. It's idealized. It's that by which it was always intended to be. The things how things were intended to be, and that's the Greeks. Their sculptures, what they were trying to capture was the idealization of the human body in its transcendent. They were trying to capture something transcendent in their sculptures that pointed to something higher than just mere physicality. right? They were trying to capture the good, which is metaphysical. John Paul II says the metaphysical condition of beauty. Good is the metaphysical condition of beauty. So it's heaven and earth. It's the bridge between that which you cannot see and that which can be seen, earth, while the heavens, the sky, and you're bringing them down. You are, as human beings, you are the bridge that brings the good, the absolute, indestructible ideal, and then brings it down and tries to capture it in form, in physical form. And if you're able to capture these two things and you bring them together, that's beauty. And when beauty occurs for real, like for real, it blows your people react like you can't help yourself, because something transcendent happened when you do that. And as artists, we're supposed to do that. So whenever a song hits you, whenever a painting or colors or shapes hit you, or in a poem, a movie hits you, because these things are taking something transcendent and above everything, the good, and it brings it down to the physical. You've experienced beauty and it's blown your mind, right? It's changed your life. So that is the point of being an artist. You're supposed to be pursuing that. You're supposed to be pursuing the truth, the good. And when you're able to not only understand what the good is and what the truth is, and you're able to bring it from heaven, a symbol of this would be the tree, right? The tree that is its roots are on the earth, which means that you're part of the ground of matter. And then the leaves and the branches go out into the sky, into the heavens, and the sun and the wind and the carbon in the air, the heavens, that which cannot be physically. I mean, it's a symbol, so I'm gonna say, but that which is transcendent, right? It brings it into itself, and then you've got the trunk of the tree, and that is the artist, right? Like that's what we're trying to bring that together, the earth and the sky, bring it together. So that. And when you're able to do that, that is beauty. That is why Plato says the power of the good has taken refuge in the nature of the beautiful. The power of the good, like the essence of what is good, becomes the nature of what is beautiful. And so that is beauty. That is what we're trying to capture. That is the telos of all artists. That is the end goal of art. But I do recommend that now that you know the traditional way of looking at beauty, that you just think about it and compare it to the way that people tend to talk about beauty and how shallow our modern perception of beauty is compared to the ancient traditional way of viewing beauty, and why it is that the ancients were creating such beautiful work of art, and how our own stuff is kind of a lot more shallow than it used to be. So yeah, so that's a little bit of a conversation about beauty. Hopefully you've gotten a lot out of this, and it gives you a little food for thought. And I thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you next time. All right, bye.